Hello and welcome to CXP On Campus. I'm your host, Jacob Brothers, and I'm joined by my other wonderful host, Erica Sedora. Erica, how do you do this fine day?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing this fine day?
I am doing just peachy. And something doing even peachier is this week of On Campus. Coming into your ear holes and your eye holes, we are giving you a CRL preview with Ruben. We talked to Tom Screech, account executive and partnerships for CSL. Really great chat with him. And we wrap up the show with a really fun announcement. All of that coming up in this episode of On Campus. Don't you go anywhere. Hello and welcome to CXP. Jacob Brothers here as always, and I'm joined by a delightful face that we all know and love. We are joined by Ruben Osterling. Ruben, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Oh, thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Of course. But we both know why you're here, and the audience knows why you're here, because whenever you are sitting in this wonderful seat, we are here to talk about Rocket League. And it is finally time. After so much waiting, CRL Worlds is upon us. I'm going to actually be there at Dreamhack. Hate to rub that in on you, but it is going to be the best thing ever. And so you are here to talk about some of the top teams that you think will make a big splash at the event. So Ruben, who do we need to be looking out for?
Oh, I've been waiting for this for a long time. All year, man, I've been waiting for these teams. So I didn't expect this one coming. Even a lot of people, a lot of experts. Valleyfield College is really neat because you could kind of call them like the Cinderellas or the underdogs. They came 8th place in the Eastern League play. They got some of the lowest bracket runs in CRL history. They barely made it through the qualifiers. And their previous fall season, they went at 2-9, which is really terrible. It's very fast. The school has little to no esports programs. And this team is fairly new, but they're a dream team, man. You got Broken, you got Vegas, and you got Tokyo. These guys are all friends of chemistry, and it's really neat because it was like a casual thing, like, hey, let's just form a CRL team. They didn't expect how good they were. It was so good they made it this far. And what was crazy was they started out really badly, so they had to go through like San Diego, North Texas, LSU, and it was crazy. They had to go through all of these teams just to get to 8th place, and they had to really grind. They had to learn a lot from their mistakes. They were kind of like very on the edge, and they're very bad and shaky at the beginning of the season. But then during the LCQ, they got really good, very comfortable with each other. And before you know it, they exceeded everyone's expectations. They weren't just some team, that was going to get mopped on the floor. They actually did the opposite with a lot of sweeps with like Missouri S&T. So they really showed a lot of people that they're better. They're better than what we were thinking. And then a really cool team, UNLV.
Hey, Rebels. Represent.
Rebels. It's so cool with them. They're in the top 4 in both fall 21 and spring 22. They got that. They beat in LSU in that third place tiebreak during the playoffs. You know what's crazy, though? This is their first year.
Yeah, no, they just started their program, and they've just been rolling.
Yeah, that was a crazy thing because they had to learn how to take the pressure off and relax because their school is really good with like valorant, and that's one of their top teams. So with this program, they were like, oh, we don't know how it plays. So it was very stressful for the players at first, but then after they troubleshoot, record their gameplay, learn how to be mechanical and positional, how they play the game, mechanics, and how play with the environment. They took it very seriously, but a very relaxed level. And it's very fascinating because they're actually doing better with their new CRL team than in their other esports programs. So for me, it was very shocked to see them go this far and be really good. They were the top 3 in the LCQ. I was shocked by that. And then the last team, of course, this is kind of like Northwood for Europe. This is like the best UE team.
That's a fun comparison.
Yeah, no, the Berlin team, the technical university, these guys are monsters. It's kind of like agreed that they're the best team since 2020. They got the first place in both European University Rocket Tier Championships and in their other seasons as well. They also got second place this year in the URC season. And it's really fascinating because other than the Paladins from Portsmouth, there's no other team that could even compete with them. Like when these guys play, they're very fast. So pretty much they use the boosters at this amazing point. When they control the ball, they're gone. Like you don't even see them anymore. They're like behind you. And they're really good with like being last second goalies. So these guys are pretty much like always at your goal. And you think you're like, oh, I got them. And, you're going to shoot your shot at their goal. They just come out of nowhere. It's amazing. You got to watch it. They were just last minute, like blurs. And a lot of their games, of course, because they're so aggressive, especially with that offense, defense, like whatever, they got the massive gaps in their games. Like in the finals, they went 4-1 against the Lawnmowers. And that's just like the common with them. You're going to get swept by them, eating their dust. So what's really neat about them is they really take this game seriously. They got this amazing mindset. They grind because the players themselves are really busy with school, but then they take even more time to master the game. So you just see the work, you just see the hustle they got, and they really do deserve to go up there as the best EU team for CRL.
Awesome. Okay, well, yeah, you make the Northwood comparison, so I just have to ask, do you think that the grand finals of this is going to be Northwood versus Berlin?
Well, looking like that, to be honest, I would love to see another team, more like underdog teams like Valleyfield maybe, or Stockton. I just want to see another team in it. But most likely, it's probably going to be Northwood and Berlin, which I won't complain. It's the best of the best going against each other. So
that's going to be so awesome. Okay, so I told you about this right when you hopped into our call today, just to throw you off. I love to throw you off. And so what we're about to do is that we're going to run down all of the first round matchups, and you're just going to give your gut opinion on who you think is going to win. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Northwood versus Salford.
Northwood, easy.
Okay. KIT versus St. Clair College.
Ooh, I'm going to go with KIT on that one.
Ooh, okay. Portsmouth versus Penn State.
Portsmouth.
Okay. UNLV versus UT Arlington.
You know what? It's shocking. I'm going to go with Arlington.
Oh, okay. Okay, remember, you are speaking the definitive truth, so who you say wins is going to win. So I can't believe you just put down UNLV like that. Okay, Columbia College versus Hamburg University.
I'm going to go Columbia.
Okay. Kiel University versus Valleyfield College.
It's going to be a rough match for Valleyfield, but I'm still going to go for them.
Okay. Berlin versus Oakland University.
Berlin.
Ooh, and then Stockton University versus the University of Central Florida.
Stockton. UCF they kind of like lost that. They were on a hot streak and they kind of lost it towards the end. So I'm gonna go with Stockton.
Okay, and remember that is the definitive truth. So Ruben, you just picked who moves on to the second round. Congrats to those teams. So yeah, CRL is upon us. I cannot wait to see how these matchups actually go. And so, Ruben, I want to thank you so much for coming on and highlighting these teams. And hopefully we see the best Rocket League that we've ever seen this week.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. All right, we'll be back right after this. Hello and welcome to CXP On Campus. Jacob and Erica are here, but we are joined by a very special guest. We are talking to Tom Screech, the account executive in partnerships in CSL. So, Tom, thank you so much for coming on.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm very happy to be here, guys.
Stop it. So you are a man of many hats, as you were just talking to us off camera. So if you could just give us an overview of how you got to where you are now, and just some of the other hats that you wear.
Yeah, sure. So I've to give you kind of like a real quick life story. I've been an esports fan since it really started back in Europe. I used to sneak out of school to watch the very first season of the LCS come out. Back when everyone had like super long hair, super long beards, terrible jerseys, and I was like, oh my god, this is what esports is. No one's ever going to watch it. Dragon Knights was the team actually, or Dragonborns was the team. I can't remember the name, but yeah, I was quickly like, oh my god, I can play video games for a living. I have to do this, and so I did what like every kid did, and just like played League of Legends for 12 hours a day. I was terrible. I got up to like platinum was my highest. And then I realized, wow, you know what? I can't get into the top ranks. And I was watching, TSM stream all the time, and the old Curse team, which probably ages me a hell of a lot. With I know, right? I still miss not watching Voyboy. He was brilliant. I used to love his streams. His top lane play was brilliant. And then I was like, right, okay, I guess I'll go to school for games. So I went to school and studied game design. I was terrible at game design. I couldn't code very well. I couldn't 3D model very well. I could write narrative and I could project manage. That was about pretty much all I could do. And it was about that time that I realized, hey, the business side of games and business side of esports really doesn't have a huge career path, at least obviously to me. So I figured that's what I'll do. I'll go on to the business side of things. You know, I picked up a couple business classes at university and really got into marketing and strategy, and really focused everything I could into gaming and esports. And then when I left uni, got a basic boring job selling security contracts and school meals, which was terrible. And it was all over the phone, so it was, you know, I had to call up these schools like daily and speak to the cook, and it was a really, really weird experience. It was the weirdest thing, saying we can get you 3 custards and 2 sponge cakes extra, and it was an odd experience, but it really taught me like the basics of selling, which was crazy. And then a couple of years ago, I got the chance to come over here and study for a master's degree in business, and then in that I basically wrote every assignment and my final thesis all on esports, which is brilliant because I got to spend like the first 3 pages of every essay writing about esports, so it like cut my word count out brilliantly, because I had to explain like, all right, it's not iGaming, it's esports. This is how you spell esports. This is what games you play. No, it's not going to corrupt us all. It's something that can be fun and entertaining. So that was always really fun. And then out of university, was super lucky to be picked up by CSL as a, you know, partnerships guy. And my day-to-day at CSL right now is mainly, you know, revenue generation for CRL Starleague. So bringing partners in, creating partnerships, sponsorships, but also kind of helping the collegiate esports space grow itself, right? So, you know, connecting with the schools, seeing what problems they have, what gaps they need filled, and then how we can really fill that. And then also personally, how like I can fill that. You know, if I can help give partnership advice to a school that really needs it, then I'm going to do it. So that's kind of a quick rundown of everything I do.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll get to the partnership stuff in a second here, but I know that CSL recently announced kind of an overhaul of their competitive structure. So could you talk to us about that?
Yeah, so CRL Starleague itself is still fairly new, right? So NACE has existed and CSL has existed for ages, but together it's only been running for just over a season, and we kind of picked one structure when that started, and you know, thought it was great, and it kind of turned out that the pick your own league wasn't working, in the sense of we were getting silver versus diamond teams too much, and it was just creating an experience that we thought, for, you know, as a silver team just trying to compete and have fun, they may not have been having that, because, you know, they're going up against Drexel or Davenport or Michigan State or Maryville or any of the huge teams, and it just wasn't great for them. So we switched into a new system of tiers. So you have you know, the varsity premier team at the top. That'll be the top 8 teams based on seeding, and then it breaks it down from there. So you know, you have the second division and the plus and the plus and the plus, depending on how many people play the game. So like League of Legends, for example, is one of our most popular titles, and that I'm expecting will have a lot of divisions in, while something is smaller like Smash or maybe CSGO will have fewer teams. So it's just an easier way to break people down into groups where they're similar capabilities, and then of course all those groups still feed into the playoffs and at the end of the season, so they still get a chance to play for a prize pool. And then we also have the open division too, which is for people that aren't NACE members, and that will still have a prize pool, and it's the same tier. So really just trying to get everyone involved in a tier that they can play. I hope that's a good answer.
Of course. So actually, we bonded over this a little bit before the recording, but we talked a little bit about collegiate esports and how we love collegiate esports here. You love collegiate esports, and I know NACE is looking towards collegiate esports. How would you say the partnership side, that is a word, partnership side of collegiate esports has developed and changed over the time you've been working in this space?
What a great question. I will say a couple of things on it. So I've been in collegiate esports working for you know, almost a year, but I've been in it for, I'd say, around 2.5, maybe 3. What I've seen from partners is right at the start, right? It was companies just throwing a certain amount of money to see what would stick. And I think for a traditional sale, that was interesting to see, right? Because companies will spend money to receive payments back. You know, they'll make money from sales, they'll make money from whatever service they offer. But I feel like since I've been getting involved in this space, I've been really trying to change the narrative of you know, you're not going to get students to buy stuff just because they saw an advert in collegiate esports, because, you know, we're all students, we don't have the money. You know, it's more about building up the bedrock and building up the framework of collegiate esports. So it's, you know, instead of, hey, spend 100k and you'll get 100 keyboards back, it's instead, hey, you know, spend 100k and you'll allow kids to be able to play esports at college and to live out their dreams. And I feel like that narrative is really starting to grow more. It's at least growing in what I sell, because this is in collegiate esports. It's new, it's exciting for these companies, but we don't want to give them the expectations that you'll make millions of dollars in sales right now, because it's still young. I mean, if we were looking at collegiate football or basketball, it would be the same story. We're looking at the first 2 or 3 years of the NFL here. Essentially, it's still so young. So teaching people that we're building the framework first is really important.
Speaking of the youth of collegiate esports, I imagine that a lot of businesses that are trying to get involved kind of feel the same way, of like, oh, there is this new thing that we are now interacting with. So how have you seen businesses try to, so I guess on the other side of the college, of the people trying to get in, how have you seen businesses trying to adapt to getting into the collegiate esports market?
Yeah, great question. So something that's been really interesting is seeing their integrations with broadcast. It seems like some companies that don't really know the audience too well assume that everyone in esports just wants to be a streamer. So you'll see a lot of adverts about, hey, if you're a streamer, we can do this for you, and hey, if you're on Twitch, we can do this for you. And I think that's been the biggest issue, or like the biggest error for companies getting into space right now, is it's not necessarily that single cell, that single person that you're trying to get. Now I've seen companies try to build up the bedrock. I mean, look at what Gen G is doing, right? They're putting out scholarships, they're putting out jobs, they're trying to build up the NA scene, and I feel like that's really starting to shine. CLG2 has just put out a massive thing about their amateur team, saying, hey, if you're in collegiate, we are going to be looking at you as well. It's not just people that are sat in solo queue. So I think that's really interesting, as companies realizing the value in NA talent in the collegiate scene. And then also further afield, back in Europe, back home, you've got the Collegiate Rocket League World Championships coming up, that's involving a European team and a European organization, and getting them involved. So it's really kind of branching out, but also building up that framework. I can't repeat that enough, really. Build up the framework.
So when we talk about the framework, I know you mentioned Gen G, CLG. These are all companies that are finally laying down the groundwork, as we say, for our collegiate scene. But do you think the collegiate esports, getting into the business itself, is it intimidating for other companies that want to get involved? And what are some key factors to make companies successful when they want to get into the collegiate esports scene?
Yeah, I mean, of course it's intimidating. It's intimidating for any company to get involved with something so young, because, I mean, to be honest, there's so much risk, right? Kids could drop out at any point. Universities could stop receiving funding, which is a big issue, because, a lot of these programs aren't run like traditional varsity programs. You've got the real big colleges, Maryville, Harrisburg, St. Clair, trying not to leave anyone out. So if I did, I'm sorry, but that's the first thing in my head, because they're the first ones I see on Twitter. They are self-sufficient in that sense. They've got their own partners, their own sponsors, they're running themselves almost. But the colleges that are really trying to grow need that college support, and that college support could disappear at any second, because there's still so much education to be done at the higher level at universities that, people see, oh, I'm paying these kids to play Call of Duty. Why am I paying them to play Call of Duty? It's not something we want to put on our varsity league. So then they drop it to club, and then the club doesn't have enough funding to keep it going. So the top talent will go to other schools. So it's really intimidating for new brands, because it's so new. The best ways around that I've seen is creating partnerships with the schools themselves, actual school partnerships, having brands sponsor the teams, having that financial support that way. It helps the kids grow massively, because now they've got money to buy the new PCs and the new tables and actually have a space. And that's part of what we do at CSL as well, is help with consulting with programs. So help them build curriculum out, help them build esports spaces, help them get the right places, the right people in the right places, and hopefully grow it that way too. So yeah, it's intimidating, but it's interesting.
Yeah, Tom, this has been super great. So one last question before we go. We've kind of been hitting on this quite a bit, but you help a lot of programs when they try to get into partnerships. So like, what is, and I know every school has their own story, but what would be like the most basic advice that you'd think would be applicable to pretty much all programs when they want to move into this direction of partnerships and expanding? Is it just a framework, working with the schools, or is there something even more specific?
Yeah, it's honest to God, it's getting the story right. So knowing what you're selling, because you're not really selling a sale. You're selling, for a school at least, you're not really selling, buying keyboards. You're selling, hey, you're going to help these kids play esports, which is their dream. You're helping people achieve what they've always wanted to achieve. And it's very hard to say no to that if you're a partner You know, they've got to think of a very creative way to say no if they do want to say no. But yeah, my one bit of advice is know your story and know what you have available to sell. So that way you can really, really create a storyline at your university with this brand.
Awesome. Well, Tom Screech, this has been really great. We really appreciate you spending your time with us. And we can't wait to see what CRL Starleague does in the upcoming future. And we hope to talk to you again very soon.
I would love to be back. So yeah, look out.
Sweet. Welcome back for the last time this week of CXP On Campus. And we are here to talk about something very exciting. Erica, do you want to break the news?
Guys, everyone calm down. We are going to Dreamhack Dallas.
Everybody panic! Oh, I'm so pumped. It's going to be so great. I've never even gone to an event this size before. Like Erica, what's your excitement at? What's your hype level?
First, I'm like impressed about how Texas has been hosting so many esports tournaments. It's kind of a flex because we had LCS, we had the Outlaws come in, and we also have Kickoff Clash, and now we have Dreamhack. I'm not excited for the humidity, but I am excited to see some awesome gamers.
Amen to that. Okay, so what is your most anticipated thing for Dreamhack? What's the event that you're the most pumped for?
Oh man, I really want to see fighting games. I don't know, I feel like no one talks about fighting games anymore, so I'm excited to talk about fighting games. What are you most excited for?
Yeah, fighting games have taken a dive since the thing happened, and so it's really great for that to come back. I'm really pumped for that actually, but in particular, it has to be CRL. Rocket League is my favorite esport, and for the collegiate level to be on a live stage with a bunch of top tier schools and top tier players, it could not be cooler. But something else I'm really excited for is the Magic the Gathering room. I just want to go into that. You know, I might grab my non-standard mono red aggro deck and go in there and show people what's up. Until someone brings out a blue black deck and I leave. That's neither here nor there.
Bro, take that 10K. That 10K is yours, Jacob.
And we're going to be getting great content throughout the entire event. We're going to have things going up throughout our time there. We're going to have stuff coming up afterwards. And so make sure you're following us on all of our socials. And make sure you check out our website at cxp.gg. And that is our show. We really hope that you enjoyed this week's episode. And you can already see Erica's hands. Remember that we will always and forever love you guys. Have a great week.